What's up, guys? Ron Harris here. Happy Saturday. First off, thanks for the hitting 10,000 subscribers a couple days ago. Couldn't have done it with you guys, obviously. And if you're watching this and you have not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button, please. It doesn't cost you anything. Helps me grow the channel. So today I want to talk about my hypocrisy. I interviewed John Hansen earlier in the week. And as I was speaking to John, who just got his pro card at 62, immediately I started thinking, hey, I'll be 60 in 2029, God willing. And why not go for my pro card? I mean, I tried for the last few years of competing. I competed for 24 years, didn't start trying for my pro card, unfortunately, till I was almost 40. I was only like 3 weeks away from turning 40 when I did my first pro qualifier, the 2009 Team Universe. Didn't do very well. 9th out of 13 light heavies. Nowhere near winning. 2011, I came back as a heavyweight, and I took second place out of 11 open heavies. The heavyweight winner, David Coleman, he did turn pro. I was also third place in the Masters at that show. And then my final year competing, 2013, came back to the universe one last time, took 5th place in the over 40s. There were 24 of us, so 5th out of 24. Everyone that beat me is a pro at this point, and a few of the people I beat at that show turned pro. And I did Masters Nationals 2 weeks later. Didn't do too well, 14th out of 31. And I posted this. This was a little interaction I want to show you. Was it on Instagram? No, it was in the YouTube comments. Sometimes I get the funniest stuff on the YouTube comments. So I'll give credit for the gentleman. He's one of my favorite trolls, Danny Salvaje Music. So, you know, he doesn't support my dream of turning pro, to say the least. So as you can see, he writes, or he commented, if you truly believe a pro card means anything given these circumstances, you're as out of touch and ignorant as everyone else getting a dead-end meaningless pro card. To which I replied, it means something to me, a mark of accomplishment, so I really don't care what it means in any other context. You can shit on that goal all you want. It doesn't change a thing for me. I've been doing this in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, all the way to today. I competed in over 30 shows in a 24-year span and beat 8 to 10 guys. I could do them. I could actually go back and find out. I think it's in that range, 8 to 10 guys. Some of the guys I beat were Mike Van Wyck, Derek Upshaw. Geez, I'd have to look, but just trust me. It doesn't matter. Usually when I beat them, they were not at their very best. They were either starting out in their career or they weren't at their best at that show, and I just beat them on condition. I feel I have unfinished business, and your opinion on that subject means absolutely nothing to me. Yeah. And then this weekend I'm looking at the USA Championships, which are going on today with the men. It's like yesterday they did the women. Let me show you something. I'm going to stop sharing this. I'm going to go to the score sheet for the USA that was yesterday, the women's part. Today they're having all the men's divisions. So I'm going to show you something real quick here, guys. These are the scorecards for the NPC USA Championships in Las Vegas, day 1. Okay, let me make sure it's on screen. And I'm going to make this as big as I can for you guys. All right, so women's bodybuilding. This is the USA. This is one of the biggest shows. The USA and Nationals are our 2 biggest amateur contests in the United States. As you'll see very, very soon, women's bodybuilding and women's physique are in jeopardy of going away because they are not getting many competitors. They should have minimum of a dozen women in each class. In the old days of the USA, when it was just women's bodybuilding, I think we had 3 weight classes, and there were usually anywhere from 20 to 40 women per class. And some of these divisions, like bikini and stuff, they were stacked. But look at this. So women's bodybuilding, open lightweight, 1 woman, Julie Warbler. Did she get a pro card? I guess they didn't give her a pro card because she was the only one, I guess. It doesn't say IFBB Pro. The winner in the open light heavyweight division for women bodybuilding, there was only 3 divisions. She's an IFBB Pro. She beat one person, Samantha Braidbeck. So she beat one person. And then in the open heavyweight women's bodybuilding, Rania Temizkan, she's a new pro. She beat two people to turn pro. All right, let's move on to physique. So top two in this division turned pro. Samantha Breitbeck, she just missed her card in the other division. Yeah, in the lightweight division. She also did women's physique, it looks like. She did bodybuilding and physique. So she turned pro. Kate Jung turned pro. And there were four women in the class. So 2 out of 4. Top 2 out of 4 women turned pro. And then we go to the women's physique B class. Same thing happened. 4 women, the top 2 turned pro. So 2 out of 4. Moving on to women's physique. 3 women in women's physique C, which is odd. They didn't have an A or a B. Those are height classes. So they didn't have anyone show up in women's A or B height divisions, which are, A, I think, is like under 5'1" or something. B is probably like 5'1" to 5'3". I don't know the exact heights, but so 2 out of the 3 women in the women's physique C class turned pro. 2 out of 3 turned pro. And now women's physique D class, which is the tallest class. So she must be 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", I don't know. Kelly Jo Reimer, she's the only one that showed up in that division, turned pro. Now, this is really surprising because I didn't realize figure was having issues with numbers. Figure used to be huge. Figure should be huge at the USA. Top 2 out of 3. 3 women showed up in the shortest division, the open class A. Carissa Aguilar, Morgan Buttafuoco. I wonder if she's related to Joey Buttafuoco. So they turned pro, and only Kelly Lyon, only the 3rd place woman out of 3. So 2 out of 3 turned pro in the women's figure A class. Same thing happened in the women's figure B class. I'm really shocked. Only 3 women showed up in women's figure B. I think a lot of them are they're doing bikini or they're doing fit model. They're certainly not doing physique and bodybuilding, certainly not. And then as you can see, as you get to the C class, it's a little better. There's 12 of them there. Women's class, D class, there were 6. 2 out of the 6 turned pro in women's figure. Same thing happened in figure E class, which is getting taller and taller. 2 out of 6 turned pro. And the F class, which is the very tallest class, these women must be like 6 foot. Brianna Diaz and Heather Laderick turned pro, and unfortunately, only Emily Zimmerman, 3rd place out of 3. So 2 out of 3 turned pro in that class. Wellness, Brandy Gomez, congratulations. So Brandy's actually a local. She is the girlfriend of Justin Randall, IFBB pro, promoter, judge. She comes to my gym like every Sunday to do legs, Brandy. So congratulations, Brandy. B-Rex or something on Instagram. So that was a good division. They had 16, 17, 18 women in the women's wellness A. Women's B had 7, and 2 out of those turned pro. I'm waiting to see how many of these classes got really big. Fit model, okay, good amount of fit model. Fit model B was bigger. C was bigger. D, women's bikini. I'm really surprised that the numbers aren't even bigger for these divisions. Women's. So, wow, look at all those tall bikini girls, because 16, looks like there was about almost 30 of them. So I'm going to stop sharing that screen. Yeah, so I'm going to go to some comments real quick because that's why we're here. This actually came in before we started recording. John Stewart, no relation, I don't think, to Johnny Stewart, the retired pro. Every person does not worship Jesus Christ, the creator. Okay, well, he's just commenting on the word hypocrite. Crazy striations, yeah. So I'm not saying I deserve. So this is Sarkis Janasian from Goes to My Gym. He's an X-ray technician. Cool dude. Says deserve it. I don't like to use that word deserve. I don't think anyone deserves a pro card. I mean, if you want to talk about people that deserve a pro card, you could go back many years to guys like, older people will know who I'm talking about. Matt Mendenhall, Edgar Fletcher, Rory Liedelmeyer, John Aranita. There were a lot of guys that competed. Ken Castagnoli. back at the national level in those years, and I'm talking about like the late 80s to the early to mid 90s, when those classes were stacked with talent. I mean, the year Kevin Levrone won his pro card at the Nationals, the heavyweight class, because there was no super heavyweight class back then, it was like 30 guys, and just the top 10 alone included, so Kevin beat people like Ronnie Coleman, Flex Wheeler, Chris Cormier, Edgar Fletcher, Matt Mendenhall, Bob Ciccarello was in that class. I mean, it was almost like an Olympia lineup. It was pretty crazy. So I'm not saying I deserve a pro card. I would deserve it if I compete, and on that day I'm the best one in the class. I wouldn't be the only one in the class. In men's bodybuilding, you don't see what you just saw with the women's divisions. You don't see a class with one person or two people or three people, even at the Masters level. Like John Hansen, when he just won the Masters Nationals over 60, light heavyweight and overall, there were almost 20 guys in the over 60. Even the over 70 had a good amount of people. I had I think it was like 6 or 7 guys over 70. So I'm not saying I'm definitely going to get my pro card, but I would do my damnedest to get it. And yes, I'm aware of my limitations, that I'm not genetically gifted, but I would work very hard. I haven't been able to train properly in about 10 years as far as chest and shoulders. I had a shoulder operation in 2011 called a decompression that allowed me to train pretty well for, I'd say, like 2-3 years after that. I was good. And then the pain started because it was advanced osteoarthritis, which is eventually what led to me needing to get the total shoulder replacement that I got on June 25th. So I would work damn hard on getting my delts back up to the way they used to be, getting my, trying to get my arms bigger. I'm not going to be cycling. If I cycled, because I've gotten a lot of heat saying that, you talk about these people dying young and how you're only on TRT now. And I don't plan on doing any cycles between now and then. And again, let me state that this plan of mine to compete again at age 60, which wouldn't be until I turned 60 in September 2029. So I guess I could do that Masters USA, but I'd probably want to wait and do the summer shows that next summer, 2026, God willing. This is all assuming everything in my life is fine. I'm healthy. I'm in a good spot in every other aspect. Otherwise, forget it. But I'm just being theoretical right now. So I could do the Universe. I could do the Masters Nationals, North American. And if I didn't get my card then, and I still felt like I want to keep going, the Masters USA, assuming all these shows are still around at that point. Was good, bud. Was popping. No problemo. So if someone's a hypocrite, people misuse that word. Reform bad guy in prison. Those technically hypocrite till a young stay out of jail. Yeah. I mean, is he wrong? No, I mean, that's the word hypocrite's a weird thing because, like, let's say that in your younger years, you were very reckless. You drugs, alcohol, did things like driving drunk, had unprotected sex. I mean, you did a lot of stupid, reckless things when you were young. A lot of us did. I did a lot of those things myself. I did all those things. But that doesn't mean when you have children that you can't advise them against doing those dumb things that you did. Does that make you a hypocrite? If I say, don't do these drugs, and I did those drugs, don't do these behavior, don't engage in these risky behaviors, but I did it, does that make me a hypocrite? If it does, it's fine, because in a case like that, I don't care if I'm coming across as a hypocrite or not. I'm trying to look out for my kids to prevent them to keep them from harm, because as a parent, that's really your job until they're adults. And even you'll find out as you guys have kids and they become adults, you never stop worrying about them. You're always super concerned about them. And, you want to know everything that they're doing, because they're always going to be your kids. Even if they're like, my daughter's 31, she's still my little girl. Bangkok baller. Not wrong. As a lifelong fan, love of sport. Why wouldn't you want a pro card? Get out there and make your dreams come true. No shame in that. And yeah, again, because I wouldn't, I readily admit that if I got my pro card, I would be an awful pro. I realize that. I'm not saying I'd be a great pro, because I've been around and I know what great physiques are. And it's the people with great genetics. The bottom line. I hate to burst people's bubbles thinking if you have average genetics, if you just take enough drugs, you can be a great bodybuilder and compete with the top pros. No, you can't. The top bodybuilders with the great genetics, they can take drugs. And let's just assume they take a lot of drugs. they can look like that. Most people cannot, no matter how many drugs they take. So anyway, I would not risk my health taking a ton of drugs. I would do like one cycle, a moderate cycle for the pro qualifier. And when I say moderate, I wouldn't go over like 1,500 milligrams, which that's pretty moderate. You hear these people saying, oh, the pros are all on 5, 6, 7, 10 grams a gear a week. Well, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't, because for what? If I couldn't turn pro on a safer amount, there's no safe amount of steroids beyond medical TRT doses, then I wouldn't bother. And I would do one pro show. I wouldn't be one of those people who never competed as a pro. I would pick a Masters 212 show. We just had a Masters pro show in Chicago with all those divisions and age groups. They had over 60 for 212. Tampa Pro next weekend. Thursday, I believe, is the day they do all the master divisions. Friday and Saturday, they do the open divisions. So Tim Gardner puts on a couple, and I know there's more shows out there that do the masters. Get past that. Non-FBB, bro. Long story short, no, you're not hypocrite. Do it. Yeah, I mean, this wouldn't be. Thank you, non-FBB, bro. This wouldn't be for a while. I mean, the point is, I'm turning 56 in September. I won't be getting back into like good training. It's going to take a while. I'm not even. If you look up Google, how long should you wait to start? How long should you wait until resuming weight training after a total shoulder replacement? It says 3 to 6 months. I've already started doing like partial range laterals. I can't do any presses. Those still hurt, but I'm getting my range of motion back. I already have I think a little bit, almost. I'm very close to getting a little more range of motion than I've had in that shoulder for years. And it's only been 4.5 weeks. I just started physical therapy this week, had 2 sessions. The first session was really just an appraisal, finding out my range of motion and doing different tests. It was like a diagnostic type of thing. So yesterday was my first day, and I just started doing all the home PT exercises. So I don't foresee myself getting back into quote unquote good shoulder and chest training for probably about another, I'm going to say like 4 months, realistically. I know some people would say, no, 6 months, 8 months, whatever. And I'm not using any peptides because right now my budget does not allow for peptides. I don't take GH anymore. Budget doesn't allow for it. I'm paying all my bills, the mortgage, the car payments, the health insurance, the 401k, all that stuff's getting paid. I just don't have extra for things like that. And I'm healing just fine without the BPC. So I appreciate all the people that keep DMing me, you got to get on the TB and the BPC. I'm like, that's great. But unless I'm getting it for free, I can't use it. So, and I'm healing fine. I mean, my leg healed, my quad tear healed fine without those. That's your goal and do it. Don't listen to who's negative. I mean, the older you get, Darren, and I don't know how old you are, but like I said, I'm turning 56 in September. And the older you get, the more you realize how much of your life you've wasted, how much of your time and mental and emotional energy you've wasted worrying about what other people are going to think and not going after what you want to do, doing the things that you want to do, the things that would make you happy, your goals, because you're worried, oh no, what are people going to think? What if I fail? What are people going to say about me? And, then you wake up one day and you're like, shit, I didn't even do what I wanted to do. I didn't go after my dreams, my goals, because I was so worried. And those people that I was so worried about their opinion, some of them are going to be dead by then. Others are gone from your life. You're like, why was I so concerned about what this knucklehead would think about, oh, what if I tried to start this business and it failed? They're going to laugh at me. Oh no. You can't. I mean, it's sad that it takes so long for most of us. I applaud and I admire the people from day one in life who they don't give a fuck. They just do whatever they want to do. They go after their goals, their dreams. They don't care what anyone says. If people say it's stupid, it's a dumb goal, it's a dumb idea, or you're going to fail, they ignore all that negativity and they just keep pushing on. And a lot of them they're very, very successful people. Earn would be a better word. Yeah. I mean, I want to earn the card. I would have to beat whoever's up there on stage with me. And we're talking 5 years away, guys. 5 years from now. I mean, I don't even know if I'm going to still want to do this in 5 years. Who knows? But I am looking forward to enjoying training and trying to improve. And just the thought that I might get on stage again, because it's been 12 years now since I competed. Just the thought of being on stage again, even if it's 5 years away, it gives me a little more purpose in my training. because I'm not just training to maintain, or I want to make the improvements, because the only way to win on that day is to be the absolute best I can, and to be fortunate enough that my best on that day would be better than whoever else shows up and what they look like on that day. And you never can tell. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. I mean, like in that thumbnail, the picture there, that was 1 week after taking 14th place out of 31 heavyweights in the over 40 division at Masters Nationals. So it was the worst placing of my entire career. 14th, I had never placed that low. So in that sense, but it was the best I ever looked in terms of condition. Of course, I weighed in at 201, and I was very flat and depleted. And a lot of the guys that beat me, the 13 guys that beat me, a lot of them were nowhere near my condition, but they were much bigger and fuller and had, technically they had better physiques. So I'm not saying I should have placed any better just because I was more ripped. I mean, condition is one thing. It's not everything. It's just one factor. However, if you look at that thumbnail, that was a week later where I was 212, 11 pounds fuller. The only place on my body that wasn't as lean was my glutes. My hams were still dry, separated, tight. The glute striations were gone. So I would have placed better. I wouldn't have won. The guy that John Houghton, is that his name? John that beat me, he beat everybody in the class that year. He would have beat me anyway. But I'm just saying, I probably would have been top 10 at least in the class. Whatever. Serious question: should we have DEI pro cards? DEI? No. I mean, like I said, we just saw. If you looked early, if you've been with me the whole time on this live, I'll show it again. So, and this is, I'm not putting these women down because they showed up. It's not their fault that these divisions were so scarcely populated. It's not. I can't blame them for being the only ones or one of the few that showed up. So let's start this. That's wellness. I'm sorry. So the women's physique and bodybuilding were like almost nobody showed up. So the lightweight woman, she ended up turning pro in physique. Most of these women bodybuilders did bodybuilding and physique, because bodybuilding, women's physique, the line is so blurred now anyway. I would advise most women just do both of them at the amateur level, because if you're a physique competitor, you're really just a smaller women's bodybuilder, and a lot of the women's bodybuilders aren't that big anyway, so you might as well. So anyway, Julie Warbler, she showed up in lightweights, only one, so she won that, but they didn't give her a pro card for that, which is odd because I see a division later on where there's one woman in a class and they gave her a pro card. So in the light heavyweights, 2 women showed up in the women's bodybuilding. One of them turned pro and the other one did not. So you had a 50% chance of turning pro in that division that day. In the open heavyweight women, you only had a 33% chance. Rania Temizkan, she beat 2 women, so 1 out of 3 women turned pro in that division. In women's physique open class A, which is the shortest height class. Am I showing this? Yeah, I want to make sure I'm showing it. Okay. Oops. Back. Okay. So women's physique A, top 2 turned pro, and there were 4. Julie Warbler still didn't get her pro. Oh, so Julie did not get her pro card. I'm sorry, Julie. My apologies. I thought she got her pro card in physique. She did not. Okay, so 2 out of 4. Moving on to women's physique, C class, next tallest group, 2 out of 3 turned pro. So we had a 66.6% chance of turning pro. And women's physique D, Kelly Jo Reimers was the only one. She had a 100% chance of turning pro going into this show. She was the only one, which I don't understand why she got a pro card in physique as the only pro, and way up here as the only person. Julie Warbler was the only one in the women's lightweight, but she didn't get a pro card. Maybe some of you guys can explain it to me, because I don't know all the intricacies of the NPC rules. All right, so figure. I was really, really surprised at figure. Figure used to be huge. I mean, I can't remember seeing. I've been to the USA Nationals. It's been a while, but I remember 20, 30 women in each height class, always. But no, open class A, which is the shortest height class in women's figure, 3 women, 2 of them got pro cards. B class, same thing, 3 women, 2 of them got pro cards, 2 out of 3. C class was a little bigger. You had 12 women and 2 of them turned pro. Women's figure D, the classes get a little bit bigger. till you get to the tallest women's figure class, F class, which women's physique pro Tony Perticakis used to call the Sasquatch class because they're so tall. 2 out of 3. There were 3 women, and 3 of them turned pro. And again, I want to congratulate Brandy Gomez in the wellness division because she's a local. She's local wellness competitor. Now she's a pro. And she comes to my gym, Bayshore Athletic Club, every Sunday. Sometimes I see her on other days too. So, all right, I'll stop sharing that. Go back to you guys. You got it. No problemo. People latch on these words for some hypocrite think it's always bad. Just prove the point. Yeah, I mean, it sounds bad. And, you know, if people want to say I'm an idiot, I'm a dumb, whatever, it's fine. I mean, I put myself out there. I'm asking the question. So if I can't expect everyone to, as the Gen Z people say, just glaze me and tell you, oh, yeah, Ron, you're great. Go for it. If some of you think it's stupid, I'm an idiot, I'm here, go ahead. It's fine. I mean, I shouldn't have a live chat if I can't take those kind of comments too. Same thing with the word discrimination. Parent discriminates against their 2-year-old from driving their car on the highway. I don't know. Age discrimination. I don't know if that example actually fits, but I'll take it. We can have DEI pilots. Oof. Do we have DEI pilots? Yeah, where they hire. Don't we have haven't there been crashes from these DEI pilots? People that were hired that were way worse on the test scores than the white males that were doing too well on the test scores. I don't know. How's your son doing bodybuilding, by the way? Did you do a video where he was first bodybuilding? Yeah, so my son competed in 2 shows back in May. Didn't do very well. He did like 4 divisions. He did 2 different contests, an OCB show and an NPC show. He was in really good condition. He was a really good poser, but he really needs mass. He does not have my genetics, and I don't have the greatest genetics. He has actually better genetics in terms of structure because he's got the wide clavicles. Mine are a little wider than normal. And he's got real narrow waist, smaller than mine. So he's got a really good frame, but he needs to build on it. There's not a lot of mass. He needs a lot more mass. So he's probably going to be missing from the stage for a couple of years. He is staying drug-free for at least the next couple of years. I don't know. I mean, he's 25. I'll always be here to advise him and, you know, give him my perspective and my best opinions on what he should do. But in the end, he's a grown man. He's going to make his own decisions. Right now, he has no desire or intentions to get on the drugs. Luckily, he does have some friends who are competing, who are drug-free, and that sort of keeps him from that world. One of them is actually one of the greatest. He's going to be one of the greatest natural bodybuilders of our generation, of this generation, I'd say. A kid named Zach Moore that everyone hates on. He's a type 1 diabetic. Yeah, he's a type 1 diabetic, trains at my gym, and he's just freakish. He's a freak. But he's a genetic freak. Darren, oh, you'll be 62. Okay, so you get it. I mean, I don't like to pull that card all the time like you guys. I got to shut this. This is my window, and it gets very the sun's hitting me like right in the face. It's annoying. Yeah. James Gary, another one from Bayshore. I talked to a guy at Bayshore last night, so he got his pro card over 40. So congratulations to him. Yeah, our gym, Bayshore, at any given moment, we have between 8 to 12 pros, I'd say on average, to train there. A young guy from my town, I'm in Stoughton, Mass. It's a town of only like 25,000 people. It's not this big metropolis. We've had a few people, a young man named Anthony Venturosa turned pro in Classic a few years ago. He's down in Florida now. Another young guy who was, I believe he was a year ahead of my son in high school, Craig Goodrich. He just turned pro at the Universe in Classic. And I know we've had, do we have any more pros here? Not that I know, but still, for a small town, it's something else. Let's see. Question is, if you were not compete for your pro card, would you regret not trying later? Yeah. That's the thing is, to me, it feels like unfinished business, CK. It just feels like I came so close. I mean, I was second place at the Universe, which, you know, now they give like pro cards to the top 2. I mean, there are circumstances where I would have been a pro with that placing, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. The point is that I did compete all those years. I probably did wait too long. Then again, when I was younger, when I was in my prime, like in my 30s, physique prime, you know, to be honest, I got in better condition as the years went by. I had more muscle maturity, but I don't know if I could say I was better. But back then when I think I should have started trying to compete, I would have been in the open division at like the USA or the Nationals. I would have got smoked. I mean, the shows were just way tougher back then. Graduates to 10K. Thank you, Power Extreme. It's guys like you that I hope you're all subscribed that made it possible. So what should the next goal be? 100,000 is very far away. Maybe I should say like 20,000. My next goal, John. Yeah, John. You know what's funny is I've known John, and I say known. I mean, he's someone that I would say hi to at shows all the time. I think we've had a couple like 2-minute conversations at contests over the years, but I've never spoken in depth at length with John until earlier this week. And I'm like, I should have been talking to this guy for years. This guy's great. I mean, we have so many people we know in common, so many mutual friends. He's a historian of the sport. Like, I don't think there's anyone alive right now that knows more about the history of the sport of bodybuilding going back to like the 1950s. He doesn't just know this, going back to like Ronnie and Jay. He can go talk to you about like the shows in the 70s. And his first Mr. Olympia that he ever attended was, I think he said 79, when Frank Zane won in Columbus, Ohio. So he's been around a very long time. My first Olympia wasn't until 91, when I was 21, almost 22. Depending on when the show was, I might have just turned 22 because my birthday's September 21st. Isn't getting on stage, hoping to get pro cards the same as worrying about other people's opinion? No. I mean, if you're talking about the judge's opinions, you kind of have to worry about the judge's opinions because it's their opinion of your physique that determines where you place that day. And there are pretty established standard criteria that they're looking for. And I talk about this all the time: structure, shape, mass, of course, condition, symmetry, left to right, balance and proportion, meaning you shouldn't have any overwhelming body parts and you shouldn't have any weak body parts. I've heard people say nothing on this guy's physique stands out. That's actually a good thing. If you think about someone like Flex Wheeler, Chris Cormier, what was Flex's best body part? You could maybe argue back, but I mean, there really wasn't. Everything was great. Everything was perfectly proportioned. Everything else. Chris Cormier, another great example. What was Chris Cormier's best body part? You can't answer that because everything was good. Nothing was really overly developed compared to anything else, and nothing was weak. That's what a physique is supposed to be. But I understand your point, Grunt. I agree. Saying cheesy, can you do a natty or not for week? You're obsessed with Fuad. I don't know if he's natty or not. I mean, I imagine he would be on whatever healing peptides and anything else that's available in the world. I'm sure he can get his hands on. What's up? Yeah, so Randy's going for her pro card at the Masters USA November 21st and 22nd in women's physique. So Randy, I don't know if you were watching earlier, but I just showed the women's physique division scorecards from the USA, and a lot of them turned pro. The majority of them, it was like 7 out of 12. I actually have a picture with the stats. I'm going to show you. This had the actuals. Beyond the Stage TV did the math. So here it is. Okay. You see that? So women's bodybuilding, 6 athletes, 2 pro cards out of 6. So 1/3 of all the women that competed in women's bodybuilding at the USA turned pro. In women's physique, 7 pro cards for 12 athletes, and that comes out to 58.3% of all the women's physique competitors at the USA got pro cards. Figure, 12 pro cards out of 33, so 36.4% of the figure competitors turned pro, which I'm really shocked at the figure. I know women's bodybuilding and women's physique numbers have been going down for a while. I didn't realize figure was that bad. And as you can see, as you go on, the numbers get smaller. Wellness, only 18.2% because there were much more women competing. There were 44 athletes. Fit model, 63 athletes and 8 pro cards. Bikini, 143 athletes, 11.2. So women's bikini had 143 women competing in it at the USA. 143 bikini versus 6 women bodybuilders. That is a big, big difference. Big difference. Wow. I'm shocked. Yeah. All right, and we're back. is Sam still at the Caitlin Clark of bodybuilding? So Caitlin Clark, the women's basketball star. I don't know much about Caitlin, so enlighten me. I know she's super popular, so I guess in that aspect, I see the parallel that you're making there. But she's actually, isn't she one of the best players from what I understand? If she's not, correct me. I have no idea. But I mean, Sam right now, he has room to grow and he has time to improve. But the physique that Sam Sulek turned pro with would not do very well in any classic physique pro show that I've ever seen. I'm just being real with you. And he looks great. He looks fantastic. Looks better than I ever did. However, does he look as good as the guys that placed like top 5 or even top 10 at all the classic physique shows I've seen? No, he's got a lot of work to do. Caitlyn Jenner. Caitlyn Jenner is Bruce Jenner, or used to be Bruce Jenner. She's not Caitlyn Jenner. She's a she. No problemo. Good for him. Staying at it. Talking about my son. Yeah, he has ulcerative colitis, which Randy just actually I won't say anything. It's her family business. I'm not going to put that out there. But ulcerative colitis, it's a form of Crohn's disease where you have lesions, ulcers inside the lining of your colon. They're inflamed. Digestion gets messed up. You have flare-ups, which is basically you have like diarrhea all the time. Like when he was having flare-ups and he was away at school, it was rough. I mean, you can't be more than 30 seconds away from a bathroom, put it that way, because it just hits you and you have to go. And that can be like 10, 20 times a day. So can you imagine that? But he's controlled it very well. He eats gluten-free, a gluten-free diet. That's helped a lot. He's on meds. Sometimes he goes off the meds for times. He's on one of the more mild ones, mesalamine. There are much more harsh ones that you probably see TV commercials for that have a lot of bad side effects. He doesn't use any of those. Yeah. Ron versus Dave Palumbo. I mean, I can't say I deserved a pro card. I never looked that great. I mean, Dave, despite the fact that his structure was awful, he had a very wide waist, a very big gut. In terms of the amount of muscle mass he carried and the condition he got into, certainly worthy of a pro card. And had he been competing today at the Masters level, looking anything like that, I guarantee you he would have turned pro. I've seen tons of people he would have beaten. And I always look at contest results. And I'd say when I look at Masters USA, the Masters USA, the Masters Nationals, the Universe Masters Division, the North American Masters Division, and I look at the guys who get their pro cards, I'd say 9 times out of 10, I'd say, no, I couldn't beat that guy. But the 10th guy, I'd say, oh, I could beat him. So I would have to get very lucky. I would, obviously I have to maximize my physique to the best I can, but I'd still have to be lucky because anybody with a really great physique, great genetics, in any kind of condition, they're going to beat me. I mean, I'm a realist. Ronald, that's my name. What's the weirdest thing you've seen at a bodybuilding show? Maybe backstage or anywhere. Oh, boy. See, the weirdest thing. I'm trying to think of the weirdest thing. Let's see. There was a Europa show in Hartford, Connecticut, probably about 10 years ago or more. It was about 10 years ago. I don't know. Whenever it was. And there was a CrossFit competition. I know this isn't bodybuilding, but they also had a CrossFit competition going on in one area of the, this was like a big function room, it was an expo. And a portion of it was having a CrossFit competition. And there was a dude wearing a tank top and a Speedo, like a legit Speedo competing, with almost his nuts coming out and his ass cheeks hanging out. And he was running around doing all the running and flipping and lifting weights and all that. And everyone was just like, wow, this guy's got a lot of balls, literally. Backstage, it's the weirdest thing I've seen at a bodybuilding show. I've seen people pass out on stage. That's not too weird. Oh, okay. I got one for you. It was a North American one year. And they used to have something called mixed pairs, which was a man and a woman posing together. And they judged it. I'm really not sure. They had to consider both the physiques of the people plus how well they posed, the chemistry together. I mean, I don't even know how they judged it. There's so many factors. But anyway, this guy, and I seem to remember his name was Dana because I have an older brother named Dana. Couldn't tell you his last name. He had curly hair, but I remember it was a white dude. As he was posing with this woman in the mixed pairs routine, okay, guess what? He's popped a rod. He got an erection on stage. It didn't pop out of his trunks. However, it was very, very noticeable. It was a good size. Everybody was, the laughter, people were just busting up. And this guy, he was beet red. He was so embarrassed. But clearly he was very aroused by the woman he was posing with. And, they were up against and rubbing on each other and skin on skin. I get it. Trust me. Especially when you're on a bunch of gear, you're a hornball. You're a walking erection. The wind blows and you get hard. But this happened in front of the entire audience, a couple thousand people, and it was hilarious. Yeah, thanks. I had forgotten about that until you asked me to really try to remember the weirdest thing, and that was pretty weird. Dave Palumbo wears a bloated beach ball bodybuilder. Dave looked like an escaped Area 51 park uniforms. It was his gut. I mean, if Dave had a smaller midsection, he had a pro caliber physique. It's just that on stage with other pros, he would have gotten destroyed because of that big gut. But if Dave had a more compact midsection, a tighter waistline, he would have been a very good pro. I mean, he was massive. He was like 285 pounds ripped at 5'9". He was huge. He was far bigger. We talk about Nexzilla and all these guys, but he would have hung right up there with any of those guys in terms of just mass and condition. Dave was always in condition. I know we were sort of at odds with each other because all those years I was with MD and he was fired by Steve Bleckman, and we were sort of forced into this contentious rivalry because it was like Coke and Pepsi. My boss wanted to always beat their numbers on YouTube and the views and the website and all that, and it was just this whole thing. But I have nothing against Dave, nothing but respect for him. Brilliant guy. One of the most intelligent guys in the industry, and obviously he's had a very successful supplement line, YouTube channel, all that for many, many years. All right, did I interview Nick Walker? No, Nick has not responded to me. I don't know why. What did I do to piss Nick Walker off? I have no idea. But he ignores my text messages. If anyone knows him, I mean, I don't know what I did wrong or why. If I was ever critical of his physique, that's my job. But I never made any personal attacks against Nick Walker. I never came out and said, Nick sucks, he's a jerk. Never. I never did that. I mean, if I've commented on things like his midsection control, things like that, I make these comments and observations about every physique up there. It's nothing personal. Doesn't mean I don't like you, or if I give you praise, doesn't mean I like you as a person. I'm just praising a physique. And if I critique a physique, it's just a critique of the physique. It's not you as a person. So I don't know. I don't know if I pissed Nick off somehow. I have no idea. Kalyan, thank you, my brother. Your best form. We won a pro card in 212 today. Well, they don't give out 212 pro cards. You would have to turn pro as a bodybuilder in open bodybuilding division at any of these shows, and then you can compete. You can compete. Actually, if you have a pro card, if you have an IFBB pro card, you are free to compete in any division you're eligible. So if you're able to make the weight restriction for your height as a man, you could do classic physique. You could do 212 if you weigh in at 212 or less, or anybody. You could be 130 pounds on stage as a pro, and you decide you want to do an open show, you can do it. Like Sean Clarita, obviously he was an Olympia champion 212, but he was free. He went over and did the Prague show. He did the Legion show. He won that. Yeah, and you could do men's physique. Anybody could do men's physique, I guess. I guess even like Nick Walker, technically, if he wanted to do men's physique, he could do it. He would place dead last because he's much too big, and that's not what they're looking for, but he could do it. And likewise, any of these men's physique pros, any of them, they could do 212 if they're 212 or lower. They could do classic if they make the weight limit for their height. And any of them could do open because open is open. There's no restrictions. Be as light as you want, heavy as you want. So a pro card's a pro card. Same thing goes for the women. If you turn pro, even in fit model, you could do bikini, you could do figure as a pro, you could do fitness if you can flip around and do the damn routine. You could do bodybuilding. Doesn't mean you do well because you'd probably be way too small if you turn pro in fit model. But like I'm saying, a pro card's a pro card. And if you meet any of the parameters of that division, and I'm talking about the ones that have like weight restrictions, weight classes, you could do it. So So I start rumors can be totally false. I don't know if it's true. Dave Palumbo stole HGH from him. I've never heard that before. He went to prison for selling fake GH. He didn't go to prison because the GH he sold was fake. And I don't even know if he knew that it was fake. I have no idea. But I guess just the intent of selling it is a crime. Like, I don't understand. Like, so if you sold flour as cocaine to people, flour that you make bread out of, would you still be convicted of, drug dealing and go to jail? Because you weren't actually selling cocaine, you were selling flour. So clearly my that's sarcasm on Sanchese's part. Avid historian pursuing the history of violence for 4 years. Sandow to Samson. That's going way back, because Eugene Sandow was way before all the current guys. Do I take vitamins? Yes, I take all kinds of. I take a men's over 50 multivitamin. I take vitamin C, 1,000 milligrams a day. I take D3 plus K2. What else do I take? DHEA. I don't think that's a vitamin. A B complex. Well, we ran out, but I usually take one. Yes, so I do. Oh, these are jokes now. Okay. History has been made. Ron Harris Muscle has 10,000. Yeah, I'm surprised there's not more coverage on the like Apple News or something. Oh, these are jokes. Didi's got jokes. We call burritos just eaten by Einstein. Ingenious. Womp womp. R.I.P. Hulk Hogan. Ron, do you think PDs play a part in leading bodybuilding athletes' death? Thanks. Hulk Hogan was obviously on PEDs for a long time. I want to say about 50 years. I think he was even on them until his death. I mean, he looked still pretty big. I don't know. I don't know enough about him. I'm guessing most of the wrestlers of his era, of his demographic, his age group, were into a lot of things, into like cocaine, painkillers. I don't know if Hulk was, but painkillers are very, very common in pro wrestling because these guys they're injured all the time, and they still have to keep performing. They still have to keep traveling and wrestling night after night, even though they might have a torn muscle, a torn rotator cuff, a torn ACL. They'll just tape it up and keep going because if they don't work, they don't get paid. They don't have like guaranteed money. So a lot of them got heavily into painkillers and, stimulants, amphetamines, cocaine, very, very common. So I don't know if Hogan was into all that, but I mean, he made it to 71. It's not like he died when he was 40. He had pretty good life. I know 71's not that old anymore. It's still a pretty good life. I mean, I hope to make it past 71, but if I make it to 71, I won't say, oh, I died, assuming I have any consciousness after death. I'm not going to say I died so young. There was so much more to do. 56 is not that far from 71. It's a lot close. I'm a lot closer to 71 than I am to 21 at this point. Not going to lie, Dave was, dude. Yeah, I mean, Dave was freaking. He was a beast. I saw him at his biggest competing. I saw him guest pose at like over 300 pounds, pretty damn lean. It was just that midsection was huge. I don't know what he could have done differently. I don't know if he had taken less GH or insulin. I don't know what he could have done differently to avoid that, if it was avoidable. But in terms of mass and condition, he's superior to a lot of pros that I've seen for sure. What's that? Keep on going. It's crazy. Do I think bodybuilders are more like they're cheap because they're so horny? Yeah. Yes. I mean, when I had my troubles, I'm not going to go into it, but when I had my troubles and I was getting a lot of female attention and I was playing into that attention, which I should not have done, I was on a lot of stuff. Tren was the worst for me, but every test does it too. Being on a lot of tests, anything where your testosterone levels are way up higher than a human male is supposed to be, you're going to be hornier. You're going to be tempted a lot more. You're going to be, flirt. You're going to be staring more at women. They seem to pay more attention to you. I don't know if you give off a different vibe or pheromones. I don't know what it is, but I absolutely think being on a bunch of gear and having super high test levels, you're going to be a lot more tempted. You're going to be very horny. And even if you have a wife who's giving you plenty of sex, which I'm not going to lie, my wife was always very accommodating. We had plenty of sex and it was never enough. I could have sex with her twice a day and I'd still be like looking around at the gym like, or, getting messages from girls and talking to girls. It was bad. is, you know, you're like a bottomless pit. It's like you could probably have sex with like 5 different women a day when you're on a heavy cycle, no problem. And as a married man, yeah, bad. Danny, I used your let me see if it works. Danny, still I hate music. Danny, I'm doing like the Candyman thing for you, Danny. If I say your name 5 times, you'll appear. But yeah, you were the one that motivated me to do this. So thank you, Danny, for giving me the idea for today's live. What are some of your go-to diet hacks? Sugar-free Jell-O. Okay. So one of my meals every day on my last prep, 2013, I had Chex cereal, rice Chex, which is plain. I didn't have like the frosted Chex or anything like that. But it would be that plus chocolate whey protein shake, like powder, the shake. I would make a shake, and I would eat that like cereal. It was cereal. I would eat it out of a bowl. That was a meal. Sugar-free Jell-O, sugar-free ice pops. You know, those are good. Sugar-free gum is like became like my best friend when I was to where I'd say like the last month of those diets when I was getting really, really lean and low on energy and just craving everything. Sugar-free gum, I would chew probably. I was going through so much of that, like a pack a day. Sometimes my jaws were killing me from all the chewing. But yeah, some of my salvaje, which is saving, salve. You know, I speak some shitty Spanish. It's not the greatest, but I speak a little bit. Selling fake drugs is illegal. See that? I don't think it should be. What do I know? Clearly, I'm not the lawmaker for the United States of America, but I think if you sell fake drugs, if you're selling flour and representing it as drugs, I don't understand why that's a felony. I mean, you weren't even trying to sell real drugs, but whatever. I don't know. Just go grab pro cards as your boomer. No, I don't think they give them away easily, Kane, but you just saw, I'm not going to show it again. I just showed the USA championships. And that was open. That's not Masters. That was not a master show. This is the USA, biggest amateur show that we have, along with the Nationals. The USA and Nationals are our 2 biggest pro qualifiers for bodybuilding in the United States. And the numbers are so weak in women's figure, women's bodybuilding especially. Literally half of the women that showed up for women's bodybuilding, half of all the competitors in women's bodybuilding got pro cards. More than half of the women that showed up in women's physique, more than half, 7 out of 12 of them that showed up got pro cards. Figure, it was more than half. So no, I don't think it'd be easy. I'm not saying, you know, I could come back. I could do over 60. I don't know. I'd probably be a light heavy. I don't think I'd be a heavyweight again unless I blasted a shit ton of gear, and I don't plan on doing that. I could end up like missing my pro card. I'm not such a genetic freak. I'm not a genetic freak at all. So I'm well aware that anybody with better genetics than me that shows up in shape, they're going to beat me. That's just how it goes. All I could do is come in shredded. That's under my control. Be smart. I would hire a coach so I wouldn't lose muscle like I've done in the past. I would do everything possible to win, but even then, sometimes you're the best guy there that day on stage. Sometimes you're not. Minor 50s multivitamins. I mean, if you ask your phone, what additional vitamins? That's a good question. Let's ask AI. What's the difference between men's over 50 vitamin and regular multivitamin? Primary difference between a men's over 50 multivitamin and regular multivitamin lies in specific nutrient ratios and dosages tailored to the changing needs of men as they age. Over 50 multivitamins often contain lower iron because men generally need less iron as they age, and excessive iron can be harmful. Higher vitamin D and calcium, these are crucial for bone health, which can become more of a concern for men over 50. Increased B12, absorption of B12 can decrease with age. Other age-related considerations, some may include ingredients like saw palmetto for prostate health or focus on heart health, eye health, and brain function, reflecting common concerns for this age group. So there you go. That's what's different about over 50 men's vitamins. My wife takes an over 51 for women too. I mean, growing up, they always said Centrum was like the very basic generic multivitamin that they sold millions and millions of units. And they always had Centrum Silver, which is supposed to be for seniors. And I never looked into it, but I knew that had different components, different ratios, different vitamins in it than the regular Centrum. Because as you age, your body does change and your requirements change. Watering down the pro division only devalues the significance of having a pro card in the first place. You know very well that in the old days, winning the show and having a trophy was enough. Oh yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be proud of having a pro card in the same sense that I would have in the old days. But in the old days, I would never have been able to get a pro card. Right now, at least I have a chance of getting a pro card. In the old days, because there were so few of them, and the competition level was higher, especially in bodybuilding, because we didn't have all these other physique, other divisions like classic physique and men's physique taking away the bodybuilding genetic talent away from bodybuilding like we do now. A lot of the guys in classic and men's physique could have been great bodybuilders if they wanted to. They still could be. So I wouldn't be proud of it in that sense. Like, I'm so great, I'm a pro. To me, it would just be like a degree. Like, you know, I never finished my college degree. I went 4 years, but I needed like a computer class. I think it was either a computer or a math class. I could have picked either one. I never got it because I started working in the industry and I just never saw the point of going back for my communications degree. It would do nothing for me. And it never really bothered me. My late mother, it bothered her a lot that I never finished my degree. But here's the point is, all those competitions, it was like I was working on my degree. And I came close to getting that degree, but I never got it. The pro card would be the degree. So does a college degree mean anything today? I guess if you get like an Ivy League diploma, or there's some majors that still equate to a job, like an engineering degree. Yeah, you're going to get a really good job. There are still jobs out there that getting a degree in them is a worthwhile investment. You know, your medical degree, things like that, your law degree. But there's a lot of useless majors that people graduate and they end up working at Starbucks. But the point is, to me, I never finished my degree. I never got the pro card. So I feel like I have unfinished business. It's kind of like, I know Kevin Levrone, I've talked to him many times. He took second place 4 times at the Olympia. He never won the Olympia. And deep down, it does bother him a little bit. You know, would it being Mr. Olympia change much for him now? No. He's got Kevin Levrone Nutrition. He's got a great supplement company. He makes a great living. He tours the world, millions of fans around the world. It wouldn't change a thing for him, but he would still like to have that Olympia title. He would still love a Sandow. I would still love a pro card, even if it does nothing to change my life at all. So multivitamins pregnant the other day. Well, that makes sense. My funniest joke about that, it's not a joke. The movie Bridesmaids with Kristen Wiig. One of the funniest parts for me was she goes on a date with a guy that she must have met on a dating app or something, and she's waiting at his house for him to get ready. He's on the phone with his ex-wife upstairs, crying to her basically, and she's downstairs with his son, who's just this annoying brat, obnoxious kid, little chubby kid with glasses. And when she leaves the room and comes back, he's got her purse like emptied out on the coffee table, and he's holding her birth control pill container dispenser. And she said, "Did you eat one of those?" And he goes, "I ate Tuesday." So I thought that was funny. Wyatt Law. Does the weight cap in classic need to be increased? Nah. No. They've increased it twice already. So what's the point of keep going? If they're going to keep, if you're a classic physique pro and you have a lot of trouble making weight, just go open bodybuilding. You know, you might have to leave, take a year or two off, or you might have to stop competing for a while to put the size on. But, why should the sport, the division, have to keep accommodating people who just don't want to make the weight? I mean, Sebum always made the weight. Summerfield makes the weight. Urs makes the weight. Ruffin, on and on and on. So if these guys can do it and they still look phenomenal, why do we need to keep raising the weight cap? I don't hear them crying about needing to raise the weight cap. Hulkster was self-made addicted to far as fentanyl. Huh? Well, there you go. Fentanyl's a bitch. John Hands recent win pitch. Oh, dude. Yeah. Well, I'm not going to bother now competing in the over 50 because I'm already almost 56. And I can't even, I won't even be training properly. The shoulder replacement won't be fully healed up probably for another 4 months or so. I don't foresee myself being able to push heavy weights until like winter, probably the start of winter this year, if I'm being realistic. So I would want at least a year, at least, if not 2 or 3, of really good, steady training to see how I looked, to see if this is even worth trying. If I get to that point and I can objectively look in the mirror and say, dude, no, you just don't have it anymore. My midsection has gotten bigger. If that doesn't start coming down, if I can't at least create the illusion of it looking smaller by building up the shoulders and the upper back to the point where my midsection isn't as distracting. And I know I need to work on the arms. I mean, the triceps. If I can't make any improvements, or if I can't look at least as good as I used to, I'm not going to come back. But right now I am fired up. Salvaje. Serving pro quality physiques, pro cards, anyone, everyone takes a symptom of an upside down world. Yeah, I agree with all that. I agree with you completely, Danny. Salvaje. Who's that in the avatar? That looks very familiar. I know it's not the Joker. Or is it the Joker from one of the graphic novels? I don't know. It looks cool, whatever it is. Something to that trend thing. You have some pheromones. I've heard, there's some science to it. I know there is. I just don't know it off the top of my head. So, beat them away with a stick, but no trend, no attention. I mean, look, you can see I'm not the best. I was a little better looking in my younger years, but I'd say like around age 35 was my prime in terms of like attracting women. And yeah, I shouldn't have been attracting. I wasn't like actively trying to attract women, but I'm saying that's when they seemed to be talking to me, approaching me, messaging me the most. We're talking this is 20 years ago. So that ship was sailed many years ago, but I'm saying I was loaded up on, I was using quite a bit of test and trend in those days, D-ball. But I think the trend, something about the trend that it does give off some kind of pheromone or something. It's funny when I dropped a ton of weight and got jacked, started getting a ton of female attention for me. Yeah, people expect it's like, yeah, they all say, oh, I don't like muscles. But when you're lean, I've noticed like when I was big and juiced up in the off season, the big fat moon face, women didn't look at me. But once I started getting that chiseled jaw, and not that I have it now, when I used to compete and diet down and get really, really lean, that's when I started getting a lot more female attention. There's something about just the lean look. And even if they say, I don't like muscles, they're full of shit. Never listen to what women say. They'll say things like, I want a man who's this and that. And then you see them with a guy that's totally different. Never listen to what they say they like or what they want. That's bullshit. Actions always speak louder than words. Pay attention to what they do, the type of guys they actually pay attention to and actually hook up with. That's what they like, regardless of what they say. Anyway, they'll say, I don't like muscles, and oh, that's gross, and steroids. But trust me, any of you guys who have been juiced up and lean and tan, the women are looking and coming around. Anyway, started TRT, Fresh Prince. So I was working in Dubai. I remember B-News. Supermodels everywhere. Well, it wasn't a bad combo if you're a single guy. It was a great combo. If you were a single guy ready to mingle, sounds ideal to me. Oh, salvaje means savage. Salvaje. Drinking on the mic. I know. Well, look, here's what I have to do. Turn off my mic. Now I unmute it. So I have to do that every time. Yeah, you're the troll. I can't be a troll of my own channel. It doesn't work that way. I mean, if it bothers you, I don't want to lose any viewers, but if it really bothers you, don't watch. I'm a thirsty guy. I'm this room, you can see I'm sweating. The air conditioning, I have central AC, but my house has 4 floors. And this top floor, the 4th floor, the AC doesn't really work that well here. I mean, my basement is chilly. I have to wear like a sweatshirt down in my basement, a hoodie. Up here, you can see I'm sweating. Anyway, so I get thirsty. I think Greg Valentino could turn pro when he was natural. I'll tell you what, when Greg was natural, Greg Valentino, he had a really good physique, really good, beautiful shape, big arms. Before any oil, he had great arms. He didn't need to put any oil in them. Small waist. So had he just, done gear on top of that, he would have been a very good pro. I think he had a very good physique. Hell no. Okay. Today, why not? Everyone can get a pro card now. Yeah. Is that your bike on the picture on the wall? No, that's Daryl Dixon, a painting of Daryl Dixon from Walking Dead that my friend Giles saw at I don't know where he was. He was somewhere in the UK a few years ago, And he saw it and he says, Ron, we were both big Walking Dead fans, and Daryl's our favorite character. Daryl's the coolest. He got that and shipped it over for me. What celebrity? I think it would be funny if they were on a huge trend cycle. I'd say, like, who's the wimpiest celebrity? I don't know. I'd have to go way back to like Woody Allen or something. Someone who's like a real wuss, like a complete wimp. But I think some celebrity who's like very, very weak and soft and effeminate, to see them go on a big trend cycle, to see what changes it would make in their physique and personality. I think if I'd be weren't so trigger happy with pro cards, that open for rival by very challenging. Yeah, I mean the fact that they make so many pro cards available is definitely an incentive to keep the amateur enrollments coming in, because if it was as hard to turn pro as it used to be, a lot of people wouldn't even try now. They'd be like, oh, forget it. Only one pro card. Like the USA that's going on right now this weekend, by the end of tonight, there will be 87 new pros from this weekend at the USA. 87. In the USA, back in the old days, like when I went there and guys like Flex Wheeler and Chris Cormier won, one man turned pro. One. Flex Wheeler turned pro in 1992 USA. Nobody else. And the women's overall bodybuilder, she turned pro. And there were no other divisions. Same thing, Chris Cormier the next year, he turned pro. Nobody else did. But I think it's a cash thing. Yeah, I mean, it's a business. As much as we like to complain about it, if it was you running the business and making that money, would you be complaining? Probably not. Get the pro card, bro. Thank you. A few say Kevin Leveroni's. Well, I talked to Kevin. I've forgotten so many times. I had Kevin correct me so many times, I should say, that I finally said Leveroni instead of Leveron. But that's just because I met Kevin. First time I met Kevin was 6 months before he turned pro. I met him in Maryland at the NPC Maryland show that we were covering for American Muscle. He had just won the junior nationals at like 220 pounds or something. And I think he won the NPC nationals at like 235 that November. So I've known him for a long time. Oh boy. I got to get through this because I got to walk branch. At the end of the day, if you win pro card in the rules of sport, you look to exercise right to win. Problem with the game. Yeah, hate the game. Hate the game. Don't hate the player, hate the game. That's a good one. I like that phrase. What's up, homie? Good to see you back in the channel. Oh, thanks, man. Well, I never left. I never left. I've been here the whole time. You got your pro card, dog? No. I'm finna cup it soon, huh, cuz? Not too soon. I wouldn't be going for that pro card until 5 years from now. So it's going to be a minute. Feeling that someone mid-40s trying to get on stage for the first time? Why not? I mean, it's never too late. Is that you, James? Yeah, do it. Why not? It's a Killing Joke. I don't know. You would actually have a great conversation with Giles Thomas from UK. He is huge into into Batman and the Batman graphic novels, and he's met, I think, most or all of the artists. I couldn't tell you who they are, but he's met a few of them. He's got like autographed copies. He's got a great collection of comics, memorabilia. He's super into the Batman comics and especially the graphic novels. Clown Prince of Trolling. I mean, you're good. I've seen some worse ones. I remember being on Heligeros on the train, looking out the window, and saw a fly lady like a pump full of goo. But in front of me was another lady. She noticed the look on my face, and I could tell she was offended and turned on at the same time. LOL. You mentioned highest amount of tren test I ran. Highest dose of tren I ever ran was probably like 400 a week. That was a lot. Tren is very, very powerful. It's very powerful gram per gram, milligram per milligram. Nobody needs a gram of tren a week. It is so strong. Like when these guys like Dorian say they used to take 76 milligrams of parabolin twice a week, which would be 152 milligrams of tren. Parabolin was like the only human-made, pharmaceutically made tren. It was made by a company in France, Norma, I think. People say he's full of shit, but it's so pure, so potent. You don't need that much. And I think 400 was a lot. It was a lot. Test, I did 750 many times. I would do like 250 Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I know at least a couple times I tried 1,000 a week. And I didn't notice any greater results from 1,000 than I had from 750. So I just backed it down. that's the thing. If you try higher doses and you notice you're just getting more side effects, I always just would go back down. Area located. I'm a coach. You're a coach. Never heard of you, Peter. I'm in Boston area. I'm also a coach. And so oil to mean that Valentine. I don't know if he used synthol or it was just, he claims it was just a lot of regular gear in his arms and legs, in his arms and his shoulders, which it might have been. I don't know. He claims he never used synthol. Does sound nice using the multiple mute. But I see your dilemma. Maybe just less ice. Yeah, the ice melted. Nope, I can still hear it. But I like my drinks cold. I'm one of those OCD about I put my drink for my meal like in the freezer section of my refrigerator for like 40 minutes before I eat, or an hour. I need to have things like super, super cold, especially when it's hot out. I don't know. It's just me. No person can be wimpier than President Joe Biden. He was a wimp. He really was. First world problems. Someone's drinking somehow. First world problems. I like that because most of our problems are pretty easy. Call Anthony or trust and service about your AC works. I'm fine, James. I'm fine. Thanks. I have a fan. The only reason I don't have, if I turn when I'm in here, I'm not making videos. I have this fan on, but I can't have it on during the videos because you can hear it. But with the fan blowing on me, it's got a temperature. It's 81 degrees in here right now. I can see that on the fan. But as long as the fan's on, it's fine. Nah, James, my AC is fine. We actually just had our AC serviced like a month ago. It works fine everywhere else. I think it's just because of the way the house is designed, which nothing I can do. Love your content. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that. Forget Ronald's the one calling Giles a jellyfish. Well, I don't know. Is that a bad thing? What's wrong with jellyfish? Beautiful animal. Anyway, guys, I'm going to go. I got to walk my pit bull. I love my pit bull Branch. If I open the door, he's going to be right there waiting for me. And I want to give him a good walk. So thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate it. I'll be doing a preview of the Tampa Pro with Giles on Tuesday. Big Mike Cox might jump in. He's not sure about his work schedule yet. But Tuesday morning we'll do that, and I'll put that out late Tuesday morning, the Tampa Pro preview. And I do plan on doing coverage of the Tampa Pro 1 week from today. Probably not going to be live streaming their stream because I don't want to lose my channel. But I will be doing a wrap-up and things like that. So anyway, guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend. I guess if you haven't seen the Ronnie Coleman interview I did, I was fortunate enough to get the first interview with Ronnie out of the hospital. That went up on the channel 3 days ago. It's still up now. If you haven't watched it, it was a really interesting interview. He talks about going into septic shock and being in a coma and finding out his heart was only functioning at 20%. It was really cool. So that is it. I will talk to you guys later. Peace out. Later.